So great. I think fascinating panel. And one of the asks from Rakesh sir, and I think Rakesh has been part of Bajaj Finance. It kind of, created the history in the Indian banking ecosystem. I think one problem statement he gave to all of the panelists, right? And I think that's where probably we wanted to, build this particular thing. So we've been talking and hearing about the MSME Catalyst initiative.
Yes.
What Rakesh was saying, that the driver or the MSME which is next door, can we solve his problem, be it embedded credit, be it payments, be it onboarding, right? So when we are talking about launching such initiative, do you think is there any clear need in terms of having such an industry initiative to be launched?
So yeah, see, definitely thanks Vaibhav for having me, and thanks to Samir, Shrikant, Shashank. Finally, I land up in Bharat Fintech Festival. So association's been a long time, but then this part. So I think, I think what Rakesh talked about, the fact is lending is very nuanced. Unlike payment or any other part of it. And this is a problem. I don't know whether there's a problem or is there a hype or a basically misunderstanding, right? Because if you look at from okay, why was this purpose for an initiative like this? So I think the primary reasons were multiple. If you talk to different stakeholders in the industry, government, regulators, finally the businesses, each of them have a different view on whether are they able to grow the business successfully. Do they get the right financial product at the right time at the right price? So that is the part of it, because I mean, if you look at the whole credit guarantee scheme from the government of India, right? The numbers are amazing. I mean, it is humongous in terms of
the CGT
SME, right? I mean, it's roughly around what I think the last 4 years is close to around 5 lakh crores has been disbursed, and at an NPA of less than, NPAs have been coming down. So the loss ratios, right? It's less than 1.5%. Obviously, the micro within that is sitting at a 9%. Now, but the part is, if you look at the micro, which is the Kirana, which Rakesh was talking about, right? For him, his margins are so thin. If he's getting the financial working capital loan for like 45 days at a 24%, he is going to default. So which is the part? So from the, I mean, all of us, including you and several others, right? All of us said that we have taught a lot about solving MSME problem. Can we look at it slightly differently? The perspective was what? There are enough people, enough groups, organizations, federations that are doing amazing job about policy, intervention, representing for the industry, getting the right policies in. I mean, like even as recently as with the whole tariff, okay, the industries who are exporting are getting support from government, are getting some support from financial institutions. So there is a right intervention, right? Now, we said policy intervention is not the problem. Second is, how do you, see, all of us have a view which is from our perspective. It takes two to tango, or do haath se tali bajti hai. So if we don't look at MSME and financial institutions on the same prism, so we said, can we bring both of them on the same table, right? The third part was, it is not a black and white part which says that there is no credit available or there is excess credit available, okay? So it is shades and pockets of gaps and this thing, which needs probably more curated, nuanced approach to find how to solve for it. Then we looked at the partners, we said it made sense to do projects or pilots to go after specific ones, right? Just to give an example, everyone will be aware of Surat jewelry cluster. Visakhapatnam has a jewelry cluster for the last 5 years. None of the exporters over there get the same credit terms like Surat. Same industry, probably similar in the market customers that they sell to, but it's not identified as a new cluster or a similar cluster. So from that perspective, we, at the same time, I was trying to Bhavesh Gupta and many others, right? Bhavesh has been on several committees of the government. He says there are so many programs that is being defined, okay? But it is not, awareness is not there. I think one of the new things which is common is if you're starting a venture, your DPIT registration gives you 3 years of no minimum balance in a bank account. I mean, I just came to know about it recently, correct? So I think, which is what, so what we looked at is there are awareness gaps, there are cluster or industry gaps. I mean, clusters again have been, there are newer clusters in the last 15 years. You have D2C as a cluster, right? You have logistics as a cluster. I mean, so which means that I mean, like even gig workers. I mean, I know the latest budget talks about gig workers, but gig workers, there are not products which are defined for gig workers. Because, I mean, you apply the same principle as a salaried person. He will not have a consistent salary, right? He's more of a EDI, this thing, equated daily installment. Because number of orders that he fulfills in a day, that is the equivalent of an average monthly balance, if you talk about in the terms, right? So, which means that there may be needs for different product. So that is so I think the hope and the aspirations, all of us collectively, can put our heads together and see whether what are the specific problems that we can solve.
No, great. I think we've had a few sessions during the day, and like Rakesh mentioned and you mentioned, I think the sentiment is quite well echoed, right? But then the question still remains the same. If there are more industry bodies and the FCCs or DLAs of the world, how different or what are we supposed to do in this particular initiative, which will stand out, right? Of course, the need is kind of clear, at least from this event and the discussions what we've been having as a banker or entrepreneur. And we, by the way, faced most of the things as an entrepreneur when we were starting, right? So we know that it there. But what are we supposed to do? What are we planning to do in this initiative of MSME Catalyst?
See, first of all, this is a collaborative effort, right? And also a lot of it is, a genesis of all of this is coming from the science and technology knowledge centers, which has been set up under the principal scientific officer, Government of India. There are 8 such centers in the various cities like Pune, Bangalore, Delhi, Ahmedabad, right, Chennai, and other Vishakhapatnam and other places, right? So the first thing is, this is a catalyst. I'm sure, hopefully, some of you would be from a science background at some point in time, or you're kind of familiar with the whole idea of catalyst, right? How do we ignite, get the spark, and find out what to solve for? So the first part is, our objective is to work with all the existing industry bodies, whether it's a DLI, FCC, whether it's a FIBAC, it's a part of, right? Okay. Second is, we are also getting, and one of the parts we also realize is there are different, all of these are slightly complex problems, which a sampling of 2000 may not suffice, right? You might want to go over this. That's where we're looking at larger sponsors to come and this thing. So, like as simple as this, there is a requirement for artisan financing. If you look at the artisan as a segment, right, it's a broad-based thing. It can come under your craft, it can come under a micro enterprise, right? Now, and it's roughly, registered artisans are probably around 3.5 lakhs. Okay. Now, there isn't and in this part, you need different lenders with different products based on clusters. There are artisans which will be in your Orissa, sandstone, okay, kind of work which has been done, or the painting, which is the whole, I forget the name of the painting, or if you think about the Andhra Pradesh, again, the tribal art paintings and all the parts, right? Or the crafts which is being created. So there are, and then there are also modern artists, right? Okay. So the part is to go and pick up certain things, do research, do a market validation whether existing policy schemes are there, and then do a mapping of the lenders, and then look at it. So what we would do is, again, that's where we're kind of working with some of the organizations like BDO, Grant Thornton, Axion. Each of them focus on different clusters or segments of industries to basically take a project-based approach towards demonstrating, as the headline of the topic says, is it a perception that there's a problem or is there a real problem? Okay. So I think a large part of it comes to articulating the problem or the opportunity with clarity. I think that's the first step. And then second step to that is to then go and collaborate with the lenders and the industry bodies on the MSME side to run programs and to demonstrate that there is both availability of funds and then there is repayment. Because as lenders, end of the day, you have to get your money back. Okay, that's important. So I think that's the intent at a broad level.
Perfect. I think quite exciting initiatives, and I'm sure the industry and the bodies over here will be very excited to work on that. Anything else you want to add?
See, no, I think, I mean, so I think I remember one of the conversations that I had with Mr. Gandhi, it's RBI Deputy Governor, right? Okay. And he echoed the sentiment, a couple of other folks also, Tamal Sarkar runs Federation of MSME Clusters. Okay. So they also echoed one significant sentiment was, at the heart of it, small businesses is the driver of the employment, growth, industry, all those things. You'll have large organizations, you'll have medium-sized organizations, but bulk of the employment is still informal. It is coming from these parts of it, right? And then if obviously our GDP is growing at a wonderful rate, the affluence and aspirations have grown multifold, but India is still a very developing country. Without creating a very strong ecosystem to support the SME and the MSME growth, right? We will not be able to do this thing, and I'm not sure how many of you follow Mark Anderson's. Mark Anderson's probably talked about this 2 years back in the whole context of the whole technology change which is happening in all those parts. He said by 2032 or 2035, all of us will be entrepreneurs. So which means that not all of us are going to start a business on day one and have a 100 crore business, right? Someone like Vaibhav does those transformative things, but not everyone. But yeah, probably been part of it in my past life. But the part is, it takes a long time, right? So where do we create the ecosystem, the support, okay, for all the entrepreneurs to succeed? I mean, and this is about, right? I mean, as simple as this, just going back to the gig workers, right? Think about the influencers. That's also a large growing segment. Now, how are they funded? They don't get funded. So, which is where I think all of us, there is also this whole world called as sole entrepreneur, right? Okay, which is a new part of new terminology. But a lot of us will end up becoming, okay, running our own businesses in different forms. Again, after my last corporate life, I am today a sole entrepreneur. I run my own advisory business. Okay, and I mean, as simple as this, just going through the whole process of getting a GST registered, I understand challenges, right? And the part is, incidentally, just one last comment. Rajesh Kumar, who was CEO, chairman of TransUnion, prior to that he was the head of risk and all those things at HDFC Bank. He also came out of his professional existence in a corporate. He applied for a credit card in HDFC Bank. They said, sir, आपने policy लिखा है, इसलिए हम आपको card नहीं दे रहे. I mean, his net worth is probably higher, but as a business, he's starting off from scratch, right? So that is the part of it. And then just from a pure digital economy perspective, most places credit card is relevant today, even from a business perspective, you're right. So I think there is an opportunity for all of us to kind of come together and not just think of it as industry, but think of it as a national imperative. Thank you.
Thanks, Ram. And once again...
No, I think I have a question for you. I mean, obviously,
Okay.
you are one of the original believers, right? So you have come on board saying that let's do this together, right? And what is it that triggered for you to say this is important, right? I'm sure the sentiments are similar, but would like to really hear you out.
I mean, yeah. So look, we believed a lot on this story of the Indian business or Indian entrepreneurs ecosystem, and I think together with Sameer, Shrikant, Digital Fifth, and even the Global Fintech Fest, we saw multiple bodies talking so many things about so many various initiatives, cutting across all different type of segments. Right? It's not only about fintech or banking or maybe NBFCs, right? But I think probably something from only from an MSME standpoint was missing, and that's where probably we thought that we could be a part of this since inception, try and add the value, all of us coming from the banking background, understanding the business contextual things, nuances. And of course, as an ecosystem, we've grown together with the industry in our banking career as well as last 3-4 years of Transbank existence. So that's what we thought we could leverage, and we can add some value to it. That's the honest opinion or aim what we have. So look forward to the starting this journey, and thanks, Sameer, Shrikant, Shashank, to give this platform for launching this, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I would now like to request Shrikant sir to please come upon the stage to give the token of appreciation to Mr. Ramgopal Subramani, who's the industry leader, and Mr. Vaibhav Tambe, co-founder and CEO of Trans Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give them a huge round of applause, please. Let's have a group photograph, please. Thank you.